Silly woman didn't realize it for more than 3 years after getting married that she hadn't yet picked up her marriage certificate. It turned out that her husband had worked out a plan with her mother-in-law from the start, in case the man met a better-off woman in the future, and immediately abandoned the current free nanny. For many years, Ellie had treated the in-laws with utmost respect and worked tirelessly to take care of the whole family. Because of her impoverished family background, she had never been well received by the in-laws. Whenever Ellie made the slightest mistake, she would be verbally abused by her mother-in-law. She could put up with all this humiliation. When Ellie learned that her husband had deceived her and just needed to get the stamp to register their marriage, she broke down. She wanted her husband to give her a reasonable explanation, but Gouda just said he was too busy and forgot about it. The two argued. Her mother-in-law bluntly said that she was the one who didn't want to register their marriage. She was afraid that the two would divorce in the future. Ellie divided the property. Her mother-in-law said that she only regarded Ellie as the family's nanny and that she should know her place. But even so, Ellie still prepared meals for the whole family the next day as usual. But her mother-in-law told her not to eat with them anymore, that she lost her appetite when she saw her. Without saying a word, Ellie agreed to let her mother-in-law pay her wages from now on. Her mother-in-law almost thought she had heard it wrong. Ellie said she had left the account book in her room. It seems she still underestimated this woman. At this time, her husband's phone rang. It turned out that last night, Ellie's mother had brought him a midnight snack. But when she opened the door, she saw her son-in-law and another woman practicing kung fu. She was so scared that she dropped the midnight snack directly on the ground. Gouda then realized that someone had entered. Ellie's mother couldn't believe her eyes. Eula asked Gouda who had just come in. He lied and said it was just a client who was grateful to him. Ellie's mother then decided to ask her son-in-law out for a chat. She told him to sort out the relationship, but Gouda said he needed some time. A relationship between a man and a woman cannot be broken just like that. He asked his mother-in-law not to interfere in this matter. Ellie's mother said she would not tell her daughter about it, and she also hoped that her son-in-law would not let her daughter find out. Her daughter is like this because she has an unworthy mother. That's why you dare not admit me as your mother-in-law. I understand all this myself. It's all my fault. Gouda asked her not to be like this. Her mother-in-law said she would move away and would not polish shoes in front of the court anymore. She humbly begged her son-in-law not to abandon her daughter. At this time, a man walked over. Gouda quickly let go of her mother-in-law's hand. The man asked, "Isn't this the woman who polishes shoes in front of our courthouse?" Ellie's mother quickly said that she had come to consult about a case. Seeing that the man had left, she told her son-in-law to leave quickly, or else others would see and lose face as a lawyer. Ellie's mother kept apologizing to her son-in-law. Gouda left without saying a word. The next day, he gave his wife a little money as a babysitter's fee, but Ellie said that she didn't want money. "Since you can afford it, it means you also see me as a maid." Her husband didn't argue with her, saying that he had been kind enough. In all the years they had been married, he had never looked at another woman. "It's just that we're not married. You're just making trouble." But to Ellie, not having a marriage certificate basically meant no security. Her husband even said that the other man had married well-off women, and his mother-in-law was a shoe shiner. Ellie broke down and asked if that was why he didn't want to get married. Gouda told her to stop being so fussy, and be grateful to have married into a family like his. Unable to bear it any longer, Ellie turned around and left. Gouda mocked her, saying that she had no idea what she was like. He even laughed at the idea that her mother-in-law was a shoe shiner. Ellie couldn't bear to listen any longer. She could be insulted, but she would never tolerate anyone insulting her mother. Her husband told her to stop acting so innocent. "Don't think I don't know that all these years you've had another man in your heart." Ellie felt that the man in front of her had simply gone mad. Her husband told her to behave herself, or else he didn't know what he would do. After saying that, Gouda threw the nanny's salary out of the car window. Ellie looked at the envelope on the ground. She had to pick it up as she bowed her head to life. She walked down the street in a daze, looking at the exquisite shoes in the shop window. She froze. Eula said, "My brother found out we were together, so I told him we were dating. He said he wants to meet you." Gouda was very uneasy after hearing this. My brother wants Gouda to provide proof of his education and family relations. This makes Gouda, a lawyer, feel very uncomfortable. But my brother feels that since the premise is marriage, all this is necessary to know. After all, my family is not an ordinary family. This makes Gouda very angry. Ellie's mother hopes that Gouda's mother can step in and stop Gouda from cheating. She plans to go to her son's company to find out what kind of woman her son is dating. Gouda's mother happened to overhear her son talking to a woman. Gouda was disgusted with what Eula had done to his brother. Eula kept reassuring him and apologizing, hoping he would cooperate with his brother. But how could the arrogant Gouda agree to this? Eula told him to hold back. In the future, his entire father's company could be his. Gouda's mother was shocked when she heard this. After returning home, she encouraged her son to abandon Ellie and go out with the rich girl. This happened to be heard by Ellie, who was returning from shopping. She couldn't believe the way this family behaved. She went to consult about divorce-related matters. An unregistered but actual marriage can claim compensation, but you need to get evidence that your husband is seeing another woman. Ellie knew that at this time she could only endure. Helpless, she had to go back to her in-laws. But her mother-in-law and her husband's sister ignored her. At this time, the mother-in-law was busy looking for Eula. She hoped that this woman could help her save the company. She made it clear that she was Guda's lawyer's mother. This came as a big surprise to Eula. Her brother asked Eula to stop seeing Guda. He always felt that the man was not simple. But Eula told her father that she hoped he would invest in her mother's company. Her brother felt that his sister had been carried away by love. He felt that he had to face Guda and sort things out. In his opinion, it was Guda who had encouraged his sister to do this. He refused to produce proof of family ties. A person with such ulterior motives was still hoping to marry his sister. This made Guda tremble with anger. His brother bluntly said that he would not contribute financially. He even said that what Guda had done was unmanly. Eula really couldn't bear to listen anymore. She took Guda and left. Guda angrily ran home to find his mother. He questioned her as to why she had gone to Eula. His mother said that she could not let her company go down the drain like that. Eula and Guda were getting married anyway. Their family would not refuse to help out. Guda angrily rebuked his mother for being reckless. Now they treat me like a liar. My mother never expected things to turn out like this. Guda yelled that my mother had betrayed her son for her own sake. He even cursed my mother's approach as despicable. When had my mother ever been treated like this? She fainted directly without recovering. Ellie, who had just returned, asked what had happened at home, but Guda simply ignored what his wife said. Lucy told her to hurry and get in the car, but her uncle asked her to stay and take care of her daughter. Lucy said that if her sister-in-law didn't go, who would take care of her mother? She angrily asked her brother if it was because her mother had gone to see that woman that you blamed her and made her faint. Lucy completely ignored her sister-in-law. After waking up, the mother-in-law cried and screamed. The helpless nurse had to give her a sedative. Everyone said they had things to do early tomorrow morning and could not stay in the hospital at night to take care of her. They unanimously decided to let Ellie stay here with her. In order to find evidence that her husband had a woman, she had to endure it. At this time, the mother-in-law's phone rang. Ellie was afraid of waking her mother-in-law, so she answered the phone. It turned out to be Eula calling. She said she would convince her family to contribute financially. She also said that Guda had just gone to his house. Hearing this, Ellie didn't know what to say for a moment. At that moment, her mother-in-law snatched the phone away from her and said that she had no manners answering other people's calls. Ellie asked in return if there was something she couldn't know, or why you were so nervous. The guilty mother-in-law didn't want to pursue it anymore. As she watched her sleeping mother-in-law, Ellie quietly walked over to her. She carefully took the phone and silently memorized the number that had just called. She would make this family pay. Eula didn't know that the man in front of her was already married, and she begged him not to leave her. At that moment, Guda was quickly calculating in his heart what path to take next. Early in the morning, Eula's second brother went to Guda's office and asked if his sister had been with him last night. Guda said that the two of them had indeed been together last night. The elder brother felt that since they had such an unpleasant time at his house yesterday, he should have sent Eula home. But Guda felt that everyone was an adult and that the brothers should not interfere in this matter. But the second elder brother did not have time to refute Guda's words, and he said, "Last night, I was humiliated at your house. I had originally planned to break up with Eula. Now that you are taking this attitude, I will never give in again." The second elder brother asked him what he meant. Guda said that he would definitely get Eula. The second elder brother was so angry that he turned around and left on the spot. Poor Ellie. Her husband didn't come home last night and was with another woman. Lucy even asked her to deliver clean clothes to the office. She was so lost along the way that she bumped into a passerby while crossing the road on the zebra crossing, spilling her clothes all over the ground. Ellie almost got hit by a passing car. The driver quickly got out of the car to check if she was hurt. Ellie, who was in a hurry to deliver the clothes, said she was fine. When the two of them looked at each other, they realized it was an old acquaintance. Ellie wanted to leave quickly, but Yuanha had finally found her, so he couldn't let her go so easily. He had a lot of questions and wanted answers from Ellie. "Why did you suddenly break up with me back then?" Ellie said she had made it very clear back then. "I met a more suitable man." But Yuanha simply couldn't believe her. "Did your mother force you to?" Ellie said she was doing well now and hoped Yuanha wouldn't disturb her life. The mother-in-law threw away the food Ellie had sent and told her to get out. Ellie told her to eat something first, and said that she was also suffering a lot right now. Her mother-in-law heard this and asked angrily what she had to suffer. Ellie told her not to provoke her, or she wouldn't know what she would do. After hearing this, her mother-in-law picked up a pillow and hit her directly. At this time, Ellie's mother happened to come to visit. In her mother-in-law's opinion, she was here to laugh at her. She kept insulting her daughter-in-law and her daughter, and even wanted to hit them. Ellie's mother warned her that if she hit her daughter again, she would not be polite. At this, the mother-in-law became afraid. Her mother told Ellie to go home with her, but Ellie said she couldn't go back. Her mother couldn't believe it. Why would she stay here when she was being bullied? Ellie told her mother not to worry about her. She had to stay here and take care of some business. At this point, Guda happened to arrive at the hospital. Ellie's mother asked him to take Ellie home to rest. Ellie asked her husband if he was seeing another woman. Like any man, Guda of course couldn't admit it. At that moment, he received a phone call, who told him to go to a specified location immediately.